Welcome, everyone. So, we are going to ask you this question since it is January 2025, the first episode of Soul Journey Doula. I was going to say Soul Journey with Lea Brovedani, the death doula. We're going to talk about if you only had 3 months to live, what would matter most? This is a whole program, and Lee's going to go through some really good topics to think about to set your life on track to do what you want to do, right, Lee?
Yeah,
Welcome back.
absolutely.
Happy
It's all
2025. Yeah.
yeah, can you believe it? Holy crow. I'm still trying to get used to 2020.
Oh, well, I bet you said holy crow. Wow. I haven't heard that for years. That's like, wow. That's
Okay,
a
I'm
saying
trying to
I haven't
clean
heard.
up. You and I, like if people knew us personally, they would know that we love our cuss words.
Yes. We basically are very colorful people.
Absolutely. And
Well,
so I've decided that, now that I have a granddaughter who's 3 and understands language really well, I realize that when she's in the car, things can slip. So I'm trying to clean
yeah.
up my language all the time so that it doesn't.
Well, I think as a death doula, yeah, the person who's, connecting with you and you're there for their end of their life, they're allowed to say what they want.
Absolutely. And I'm there to
Yeah.
listen. Yeah.
Well, I watched a hospice lady because now I get all these hospice things, right, on social media. And this a hospice nurse, and she's like, well, this guy's all like, I was in rehab for, pot. Like, what now? I'm on my way out. And she's like, well, so, you know, I'm just saying, whatever makes you happy at the end, go for it.
Yeah.
If you want to swear, you know, if you want to light up, maybe you just have to do it somewhere different. I don't know. It's all
Yeah, I
different.
think that you're allowed to. And so the whole thing about this best 3 months
I love
is
this.
to think of where you are in this moment, not like I've been told I have a terminal disease or I'm sick or whatever. It's where you are in your health at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
And to look at the fact that you've been given a terminal diagnosis and how to make the last 3 months the very best that they could be. And so it's looking at where you are, and it's a way to live your life to the fullest.
Mm.
And when I would do workshops and I would ask a company, do you have a contingency plan for disasters that might happen to your company? And they'd say
Yeah.
no. And I think it was Barack Obama who said the best time to buy an umbrella is when it's not raining.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing if you're looking at how to live your best life, it's to do it when you still got the health to make the decisions. So
Mm.
that's what I want people to look at is let's plan for the best 3 months and take it right from now till the end and plan out how you can live your life. And we've got those 5 pillars that you
Mm-hmm.
and I've talked about a number of times. And I think I sent those to you, didn't I?
Yes, yes. You've got the 5 pillars, and then you've got the ones that you're talking about for the 3 months. So, are you
Right.
talking about your 5 pillars, or do you
No,
want
I'm talking
to?
about the ones for the best three
Yes.
months.
So we start with physical, and that's another thing is to start now. Because you got to look at what you can do. And I love this because it's something to really replicate throughout your life once you go through this process.
Yeah.
So physically, okay. So you want to look at how are you going to, you know, enjoy the last 3 months of your life. So physically, creating comfort in body and environment is the point there. The first one. Okay. So if you don't like your house, move out
Yeah.
or fix it.
Or maybe get it painted, you know.
Yeah.
So creating comfort in your body and your environment. And you and
Mhm.
I talked about that, how diet can change so much about how you feel in your
Mhm.
body and in your environment. So creating just doing things that give you optimal health and make you feel better. And
Like a
I'm
glass of
on
wine
dry
at the end of the
January
day.
right now, which you think is nuts.
Yeah,
But, that's the start of
good for
every year
you.
I do dry January.
I'm supportive for you because you're going to feel much better over doing it. And I had a friend who did that for his 50th birthday. He went for a year, and then on his 50th birthday, 51st, he was like, I feel so good. I'm not going to have any more. I'm not going to have anything. And then a few days later did, and then he died. But anyway, No, seriously, it's not a joke. It's weird because he was so healthy. So I don't try anything anymore. Just kind of
You don't
like,
want to jinx it.
I don't want to jinx it. No, no, but he traveled the world. He was athletic. He did everything. But I think each person does what they know, what you know what your body needs as an
Yeah.
individual. You can go to all the doctors, they'll tell you deep down, even if you want to argue with them, there's like a knowing, I feel. But what do I
Yeah.
know?
Well, you know quite a bit actually. So
I just go by my gut. And
yeah,
I learn all the time. I'm in the college, basically with podcasting every day. I'm in college.
yeah.
So you study from that. But
So
the physical part is to be comfortable and feeling as good as you can, right? As pain-free. Because those listening right now could be in a place of pain, and pain sucks.
yeah. And so we're just talking about the physical body. We'll go through all of them. So
Mm-hmm.
the first one is the physical body, and the next one is emotional. And so
Ooh.
it's honoring your own feelings and honoring relationships. And so many times, and I see this with a lot of people, they are like empathy is really important. And I just read this great book, and they said if you have to choose between anger and empathy, choose empathy.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that, but it's honoring your feelings. And anger is not necessarily bad if it's directed in the right way. Some of the greatest things that have happened in the world have been because people have gotten angry about something. They've gotten angry about an injustice. But it's being able to honor your own feelings instead of
Mm-hmm.
suppressing them and just honoring them. And then emotional intelligence, when I was talking about emotional intelligence for years and talking to people around the world who were the experts, it's not around suppressing emotions or not around choosing happiness all the time if you're sad. It's choosing the intelligence that goes with the feeling. And that's where the emotional intelligence comes together. It's adding the intelligence
Mm-hmm.
to the emotion. So emotional is really operating your life with emotional intelligence. And that starts first with
Mm-hmm.
recognizing how you feel and taking a moment to just say, if I had 3 months to live, would I be sitting here doing what I'm doing right now? What needs to change? And I'm not suggesting for a moment that everybody quit their job and walk out and do something
Mm-hmm.
else. But if you are really unhappy where you are, it's taking that pulse and saying, okay, what am I going to do about it? How can
Mm.
I honor my feelings?
3 months gives you breathing time and thought time and stepping stones. It's a good set of time to look at, right?
Yeah,
And relationships, it's like they say, some of the greatest relationships, is partnerships, romantic partnerships, husband, wife, wives and wives, doesn't matter. Um, if you don't go to bed angry, because that's where things continue on. And so there has to be some kind of acceptance of this is how someone else is. So if you're running your life according to someone else instead of yourself, I
yeah,
think this program really helps you kind of redirect, like, hey, is this really where I wanted to be? Like maybe we got married and now I'm running according to that person and never my own life. Maybe I need to balance out,
yeah.
and not live according to someone's annoyances or positives. Even it's kind of like give yourself some space as well.
Yeah. And my buddy Chuck Wolf talks about, his emotional wheel, which is like, how do I feel in this moment? How do I want to feel? And how am I going to get from where I am now to where I need to be? And
Mm,
so it is all of the steps that you need to do in order to feel the way you want to feel. And if you're looking at yourself and you say, I've been miserable for the last 10 years, is this how I want to feel?
mm,
And then what is it
yeah.
that I have to do? And it's not sacrificing somebody else for your own pleasure, but it's taking a really good look at where you are and deciding
Mm,
what it is you have to do.
mm. And the anger thing is interesting. I know we're getting to spiritual and then some practical sides of things. Um, I was listening to a podcast, and there was a gentleman, a guru, pretty much, and he was saying about for the next 24 hours, as things happen, just accept them and go, well, there's that. Just accept it. There's that. Because we tend to jump on something and go, we let our emotions run things first instead of going, something really terrible happened, accept it. You have to accept this happened,
Yeah.
but just try to accept that it happened first
Yeah.
and then go from there, which I think is an interesting concept. It hasn't quite worked for me yet. I'll let you know.
Well, sometimes when we're going through something really difficult, we stop in that moment
Mm,
instead of keep moving forward, instead of saying, okay, like
yeah.
I'm having such a rough time. And instead of being afraid to take the next step, well, don't stay in the muck, just take that next step. And then if
Mhm.
that, if you need to, then take the next one and the next one and the next one. So it's being able to determine that you can move forward. So we've
Yeah.
done physical, emotional, and the next one is
Spiritual.
mental.
Mental. Oh, mental. Mm.
Yeah, gleaning
Ooh.
meaning and life review. It's really giving a thought and thinking about. So you went into feeling, and now it's into the mental.
Mm.
What is it that gives my life meaning? What is it that I need to think?
Mm. And to give yourself time to think, because
Yeah.
how many times are we just scrolling through things? It's a problem with social media, right? Is like people read headlines, scroll through, they're not really actually sitting and thinking at times. I mean, we've all done this, right? We've all of us just quick, 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 quick. Are we allowing our brains to just actually sit and sort house, clean house?
Yeah. And one of the things that I've done, and I've given everybody notice that I don't care if most of my friends I keep in touch with on Facebook.
Mm.
And with the recent announcements on how they've taken off all controls, I went, I can't do that anymore because I get up and I read that. And mentally, I'm finding that it's a cesspool and I just can't be there. So at the end of January, just when I'm ready to come off of my dry January, I am
She's
going
gonna
to
have a
be,
glass of wine and
I
go,
can have a
that's
glass
enough
of
of
wine
that.
and I'm clicking delete on all
Mm.
of my Facebook accounts. And so
Mm.
that's what I need to do in
Yeah.
order to have some mental clarity and
Mm.
just get off of that. Some of it is just so negative. And so everyone needs to do what they need to do in
Mhm.
order to have that gleaning some meaning from life instead of what you read and what's imposed.
I think the mental coming after the emotion is so important because the mental helps you work through the emotional so you don't become over emotional on things. The
Yeah.
mental is like, okay, we're going to take some charge. And then sometimes you take bold moves, like you said, taking those steps out of the muck. Well, you can take the steps out of the muck and you're still going to have muck dangling, dingleberries on the shoes. That's why we have toilet paper and paper towels. But anyway, you can tell I hang out with animals, but you clean your feet and you may have to clean them again. And you just have to keep going through that. And the mental side helps you stay focused on where you want to go. The spiritual aspect is really interesting too, because of all the business and life coaching courses and everything I've done it over my years, they always have this part like no matter what your belief is,
Mm-hmm.
some people are Christians, some are Muslims, some are, Jewish. Everybody's got their different faiths, right? Some are agnostic or, or witches, and Wiccan.
Wiccans.
So you can be what you want to be. But at the end of the day, you need something that is the spiritual side because you will try to find it somewhere else if you
Yeah.
don't determine what spiritually, soulfully makes you happy
Yeah.
and fulfilled and more connected to the higher world. For some of us, it's nature, you know. So
Yeah.
everyone's got something different, but that spiritual aspect, I love that you have it in there, especially when we look end of life, people suddenly go, I better read the Bible, you know,
Or not,
or
like,
not. I'm not
I
doing
think
that
you
for
and
three
I are
months.
probably, in our property up in Nova Scotia, we're on 2 acres. In the back
Mm-hmm.
acre is just all forest.
Mm,
And there was a lot of fires that came through there. And it seems like fires are a problem around the world right now because as
sadly.
climate changes, things become, anyway. So we have someone from the forestry, and I love the fact that it's a woman who is the woods
I
person.
remember she started doing something during a podcast. Remember, you're like, can you hear that? I have a woman chopping down trees.
Yeah, yeah, you should see. She cuts down these huge trees and hauls the wood and does a controlled burn and everything. But the whole purpose of that is so that we can walk through the forest and there's space between the trees. So if a fire did come through, it can't leap from tree to tree. There's a little bit of space between
Mm,
them. But what I find is that if I want to have a spiritual connection, I walk through the forest.
mm-hmm,
And Rick is building me a platform in the middle of the woods so that I can walk out during the day and sit on my platform and meditate. And for me, from a
mm,
spiritual perspective, I'm not opening a Bible. I'm looking at nature and saying, this is where I find my peace and this is where I
mm,
find my God.
mm-hmm.
So spiritual is whatever you make it to be. And I think as long as it is adding good to the world, then
Yes.
regardless of what it is or who it is you pray to, that's what the
Mm-hmm.
positive thing is. And then deciding, like part of this, the best 3 months and the spiritual is deciding what are some of the things and the rituals that you would want at the end of your life.
Mm,
And so,
yeah.
I might just, hey, I just thought of this. Maybe take me out onto the platform, except there's no, like I would say, leave it there for the vultures to eat, but yeah, we don't have those up there.
Well, I think that the spiritual part, it's important because that's your connectivity to the life force. The life
Yeah,
force being, for some it's God and Jesus, and the Bible is a part of that for them every day, to a way to tap into that. And I totally respect everyone's different beliefs, like as long as they're positive, not there's some weird stuff out there, y'all. I'm just saying. So we're not talking about cults and all that. Okay. I'm
yeah,
I'm just
yeah,
I'm gonna just be very clear on that. But it's like again that part of us that is, it's a centering form, and it's all of them, all of these belief systems do
yeah,
mean that we're tied to something far bigger than what we can actually understand.
yeah.
It's
You
humbling, but also makes us feel connected, right,
One
to
of the
life.
things that I've learned since I've been doing the work as a doula and talking to other doulas who spend a lot more time with people who are and I call it the active dying process. So I mean that their death is imminent. And when I've talked to them, the things that happen
Mm,
are cannot be explained. I mean, you can try. You can say, oh, it's a coincidence that, this person who felt like he had this strong connection to bear symbolism and lived out in the
oh
woods,
yeah.
had a bear come up onto the deck and look into the window for 5 minutes within moments after he passed. And people whose last name in France, whose last name is Renard, which means fox, the person who died in the house, there was a fox that came up to the door and looked in. And birds that have done is it
Mm,
murmurings that have flown overhead when people were singing, like there's so many things that happen that cannot be explained.
mm-hmm.
So just accepting the spiritual is huge, and recognizing that we are not alone here on this planet Earth, that we are connected to nature, that we're
All
connected to
kinds of entities,
everything.
even extraterrestrials. You
Yeah,
never
good.
know.
Yeah,
Hey, why not? Well, there's things like, people find pennies, and they find
dimes,
little
yeah.
things that happen and dreams that are so lifelike that it makes you really go, whoa, that was so real. I could feel their presence, like, you know, and are we manifesting ourselves? If we are, so what?
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
cares? As long as you feel good, you know?
Yeah.
So it's an interesting thing. What's going to get interesting in the world with all of this is how AI is starting to become like part of a conversation piece in a household. So if someone's feeling lonely, they're going to turn to Alexa and have a conversation, and they're gearing it more and more that way. And people are very against this. But then I'm going, how bad is it if someone is at least able to feel like they have a spot, a connection in some way, even
And
if it's
when
a
does
robot?
AI
It's
become
weird.
sentient? You
It's
know?
weird. This is
Yeah.
a very interesting time, but I think going through this whole list, it's these relationships, the emotional, all of that is kind of going, okay, do I really need to pick a fight with so and so when really deep down I care and I'm just being a butthead and wanting to have the last word, right? Now,
Be
what's going to happen when you
curious.
pass?
Yeah.
Do you want that to be your last thing? Does that person want that to be the last thing? And I think when we look at this 3 months, it gives us a very good foundation of behavior. Like, is that really what we want when we go? Don't you want your things in order, your affairs, like your relationships,
Yeah.
to be on a positive when you go instead of a negative, or at least be neutral? You don't have to like someone. It's not pushing you to be, but just polite and not be, one of
Yeah.
those.
Yeah.
Don't be one of those people.
Don't be that person. Yeah. And the
That's it.
last one. And sometimes we are like, yeah. I mean, I don't know about you, but the worst thing is when something comes out of my mouth and it's upside down and backwards. That's not the worst part of saying something. It is reliving it over and over and
Mm-hmm.
over again, saying, oh, how could I have been so dumb and everything. So from the best 3 months is letting those things go too.
Mm-hmm.
Letting go of
Mm.
that emotional angst that, like, well, we all mess up. I was going to say that swear word, but no, we all mess up at times and
Mm.
just
Bleep.
allowing us to let that go.
Well, kind of is like going on a diet, but you still get to have chocolate, dark chocolate. See? It
Yeah.
is. You go on like, hey, is this helping my body, mind, and spirit or not? Is this making me happy? Well, is this always making me sad? And if it's making me angry, sad, we'll look at it and go, well, do I need it?
Yeah.
If you're miserable at a certain career and your job, maybe your office, maybe your boss completely sucks. Like, is that how you want to end your life working, for the company store with some idiot telling you what to do every day? No.
And
Sorry.
the best time
This is
to
why I
find
work
a
for
job is
myself,
when you're,
because I start getting like
yeah,
this.
when you're in a job. So, if
Yes.
you've got a family to support, a lot of times you
Mhm.
don't have the luxury of just saying, okay, I'm going to quit because you might not have
No.
enough money in the bank account. But if you're really miserable, it's taking a really good look at what your skills are, polishing up those skills, getting a resume out. That's the mental side of things. If you're going to have the best 3 months, why not have them at a place that you love? And the last one of the 5 is practical.
Mm.
So it's planning for your after death care. You don't need to have someone scoop up, if you decide to die at home. And 85% of people say that they want to die from home, and less than 25% do. And part of that is because
Wow.
they don't plan. And so if you've decided that that's what you want to do, then you need to have that plan in place. That's why this best 3 months is really important.
Mm.
So if you want to do that, what bed are you going to be in?
Mm.
Who's going to look after your needs? Who can you bring? Is there a community that you can call on to do something? What is the ceremony? Do you want your even things as practical as I've told people that let people know not to take your body right away.
Mm.
Allow people to sit and spend some time with you. A good friend of mine in Nova Scotia, her mother is currently in hospice care. And she has a sister who is really hard to get along with. And her mother usually pretends she's asleep so she doesn't have to you know, she loves her daughter,
Right.
this one daughter, but she's so difficult that she just
Yeah.
understands that. And so the rest of the family knows how difficult she is. And so they're willing to acquiesce and say, okay, well, you can be the person to be the last person to spend with mom. And I stopped the family and said, whoa, this is
That's not
not
a,
about your
yeah.
sister. This is about your mom. And
Mm,
so you are the person who gets to decide. And you don't say, well, you know, it's this person is going to make it's going to be so difficult that I don't want to cause problems. That's a time, this is a time when you're doing your best 3 months to make it about yourself. Who do I want to have around me? And that's
yeah.
when you hire a death doula,
Mm,
because I would be saying to the daughter, and you know, if you know that I do work in trust, and I
right.
don't believe that you should lie, but it's not part of my trust model for the very specific reason that we don't always trust people just because they don't lie to us. And in that situation, I would say, your mother's sleeping right now, so we'll have you come back later, which could be a lie. Or I could say, you're not on the list at this moment, but the moment, here's what we're going to do. You will be able to spend time with your mom, and everyone can come in when she lapses into a coma. Then that rule of only having a couple of people with her
Hmm.
is going to change. I would check into that. And then you can be with her.
Mm.
But at this point, you can't.
Yeah, you can also just say emotionally she's not in a place for this right now. And
Yeah,
her interest,
absolutely.
she comes first. It's at her best interest. And if you're going to be, like that, just don't. Like,
Yeah.
don't. You'll be taken out, like out of the room, not the other way.
We'll take you out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
by the way, your 3 months is here too. But we just took
Yeah.
them off. We're just going to speed that up for you. No, I'm just kidding. But that's a thing. There's polite ways of doing things where people
Yeah.
can get the message if they, but some people choose not to get the message. You know what I mean? When it's politely being delivered, you
Yeah.
know.
And,
So
and you
it's,
look back at the mental, you know, even the mental aspect, this is the time to have those conversations
mhm,
around all of the things about what's going to happen with all of, you know, get your, what is it? Get your ducks in a row, get your
yeah,
estate written, talk to the doctor. If you're terrified of pain, then now is the time to say, okay, I'm going to, now that my mind is clear, I'm going to let them know that I don't want to feel pain.
I
And
agree.
I know other people who say, no, 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 I can handle a lot of pain. I want to be really clear. I don't want my mind foggy at all.
Hmm.
So in this moment, that's what's so beautiful about the best 3 months. You're making the decision while you're clear. And so you make all those mental decisions. And you might decide that it gives you a lot of satisfaction to give away some of the things to the people while you're still here and able to see them enjoy it. So,
Exactly.
you know, it's that.
There's, yeah, there's
Favorite
so many
thing.
things, and it makes you kind of have a simple process in your life to live
Yeah.
by.
Yeah.
That's
Where do I
really
want to be?
real. Yeah, I mean, it makes you go, it helps you in decision making, you know,
Yeah.
and to
So
say,
with
oh,
you and
this is,
Nancy,
yeah,
because you travel
mhm,
all the time,
mhm.
where would you want to be?
Probably Thelma and Louise. I don't know. No, kidding. I, we talk about, stopping. If we stopped, where would we go? And, we love Tucson, obviously, where we're from. Well, our last home, but, you know, I think both of us need to go back to Africa for a spell. We're not over it yet. We lived there for,
Africa is
almost
a
half our
magical
lives. And
continent. Yeah.
so
Which
there's
country in
areas we
Africa?
haven't been. Well, you know what? Kenya is still really huge, but I'd like to do more of Botswana. And,
Okay.
so there's the world is there, you know. And I think, sometimes we look at it and pinch ourselves because we've seen things that we are not can't see it anymore, like the diversity and all of that with the wildlife. So I think that's really big. Then like South America is really big, seeing tigers, and you went to India, you lived in India.
I
So,
loved India. Yeah.
so there's everyone's got these things. So I think it's really about making your choices of what and where, and the world changes all the time. So maybe I say, oh, you know what? As I get to that 3 months, I want to be in Kenya, but there could be a coup going on because, it's Kenya.
Yeah.
And, but then you go, oh, what was plan B, C, D? Right? So if you already have plans in place, it allows you to shift accordingly to what's going on in the world, what's going on in life, because things come and go. But if you have a plan, you have a focus a way to make choices and decisions far quicker than when things impact your plans. If you
Yeah.
don't have a plan, you're like sitting there going, I don't know. As we travel full time, our plans get derailed all the time, as you know. Hurricanes, thank you, Lee. Lee, who said Nancy and I could go stay at their place in Savannah while we were, running from hurricanes. But we knew which direction we were going, and it made sense to go, oh, okay, we need to do this. I'm like, no, I think we're fine. And then all of a sudden, Lee, we need to leave now. I'll never forget that. Thank you again. But
You're welcome.
we knew which direction we were going because we had a plan. So it was a
And
derail, and thank you
you
for
were at the
saving our
start of the
butts.
parade.
Yeah, well, we always get out first. Always as fast as we can, as much as we can. But if you have a plan, like these
Yeah.
3 months, this is a way to live life in and make decisions so that you're doing is the best possible way you can for your life.
Yeah.
You know.
So, if I were to put this in, like, this whole thing about the best 3 months, I like that metaphor of buying the umbrella before it rains. This is the umbrella. This is the umbrella of deciding in those 5 areas, what is it that you want? And then have the conversations with people. It's some of the things that have happened. We talked about the spiritual things, and it is amazing to me how all of a sudden, like, someone who is dying has a friend that they haven't seen for years, and they've lost contact and they don't know how to get in touch with them. And there has been so many reported cases of, in that last week, all of a sudden that person just gets in touch with them, and they don't know how it happened or what facilitated it. But this person that meant a lot to them just said, I just kept getting this really strong feeling that I should find you and get in touch with you.
Yeah, it's happened in our life. Some good friends of ours, we tried, and when you leave Africa, you leave Africa and things get wonky. And we had lost touch with really dear family friends, like family, and their son was like, my brother. And one night, Nancy and I were doing something, and they're musicians, and I found them, like, finally, after all these years. It would only work on my phone for Facebook, but not on the computer. I don't know how this happened, but I found them. We messaged them immediately, and it turned out it was within the 72 hours of my friend dying.
Oh my
And
Lord.
the parents, that was their second child. Anyway, it's really a sad story, but is that not really bizarre? Like, we sat
Yeah.
there, and it wasn't like a week later or something was the anniversary of the passing, and we drove by a lake with their name on it.
There's
These signs are there, and it's about, there's symbolism. I don't know who says what anymore. I'm gonna go Canadian, British, Dutch on you, whatever. But things, symbolic happenings, and signs are there all the time. We've done so many shows on this, but it's really about having your eyes open, and then you could go, oh, I manifested that. No, I didn't make the lake name. I didn't do that. Were we there at the same time of this happening? Yeah, or the anniversary of. So that's kind of a sign, a universal message. But why wouldn't we have universal messages when all these things happen all the time? Pennies in your bed out of nowhere. Come on. You know,
Yeah.
it's like there's so many weird things that happen that you can't 100% dismiss it. And the world is so, I mean, if you look at nature and you look at a leaf and how the leaf is structured and all the little veins and all the different things that rely on this one leaf, right? And how that ripple effect is to all the animals and birds and soil and all these things that actually come back to us as human beings in the web of life. How could we not believe that there are all these amazing things happening throughout? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, everyone's got their beliefs, so I may sound completely woo woo right now, but when you realize you're so connected, that spiritual connection is deep and necessary
Yeah.
because that's the life force. And I don't believe energy dies. So I'm just saying, send
Yeah.
me
Well,
send me $100 bills. I'm just saying these pennies are like, not good enough.
and you think about some of the things that, and I'm sure that someone could explain it to me, but like the acacia trees in Africa, if you've seen them, they're absolutely beautiful, and they have these huge canopies. And a giraffe will go and feed on the leaves, and the acacia tree will send a message through its roots. And so they have been acacia trees, I don't know what the distance is, let's say 10 miles down the road, that starts to sour its leaves because that tree has sent that, their leaves are being stripped, and it will send a message to another tree and let them know. And you go like, there's so much in nature and in life that we just don't understand or comprehend. And
Well,
if
and to
we
go
start
on that,
recognizing that we are connected, just like
and
the
those
tree.
leaves, the acacia leaves, so an acacia tree has different levels, right? And so you'll go all the way, a geranuk can go get leaves right underneath what a giraffe will get. And each one has its station. So it's like it won't like shut down all the leaves for the giraffe at the top, but the bottom may need some thinning out. See, this is what real fire control was done in the back in the day. And if we didn't
Cool.
kill all the animals off, this stuff would still work. So the dik with little teeny or a klipspringer, really, really tiny little antelope, that gets the bottom part. But like a gazelle may eat some of it, but like a geranuk won't. It's got this really long neck and likes to hop up. Will not eat the bottom. It doesn't have the same taste. Same thing in the plains, and the grasses are exactly the same way of how the different levels are and what kind of grass this animal eats this
So
kind
they
of grass.
protect themselves.
And horses eat certain grasses versus cattle, but everything's, oh, they all eat the same. No, they don't. It's a whole other, yeah, I'll geek out on that stuff for years, but and truly I do. So
When you
it's
think about how
interesting.
they're, yeah, and it's interesting in our house up in Nova Scotia, there the deer are not allowed, like no one's allowed to shoot them, or obviously because it's kind of a residential area, you don't want someone shooting the deer. So they are absolutely fearless. They come into your yard and you can go up to them and they just huff at you and will take their time running away. But it's wonderful to see that you can sit out there very quietly and they can
Mm,
come within a few feet of you, and you just feel like there's this friendly
like, oh, we're both
communication.
here. You be
Yeah,
nice and I'll be nice.
yeah,
Well, that goes to the emotional intelligence of what we were talking about before with relationships, right? Some people just don't like somebody because maybe they look like somebody from that you don't like for a real reason. You
yeah,
can look at someone and go, I don't like you. It has it's bizarre, but it's going to be, someone in your past that did something that, maybe pissed you off or hurt you or something. And, you just aren't clicking about it. You just like immediate dislike, right? Or your gut is going, run like hell, but you can still, as long as they're not an ex murderer, have that zone of, I'm just going to accept this. It's acceptance. I
yeah.
think radical acceptance of things helps you calm the emotions so that your mental side can clear. Like you need emotion. That's your flight or fight thing, and all of that, and the good emotions. That's how we have babies. But you know what I mean? There's all of that, but you need that acceptance, and that zone of what you're talking about with the deer is this respect for each other. But now if you go
Right,
too
for
fast, the
everything in the
deer
world,
could
yeah.
chase you down and do this to you.
Really?
Oh yeah.
The
Oh yeah,
deer?
they'll oh yeah, like kind of like kangaroos in a way. Yes, I've
Huh.
had to chase deer out of properties before, and they can turn on you, especially if there's a baby, and they will hurt you.
Oh, I have a different level of respect for them because
They're badass. Sorry.
Bella
Oopsie.
Scotia, you know, our latest
Yes.
puppy, she will just try and go after them, and they just huff at her and they take their
Mm,
time. So I don't really worry about her because she's really fast.
mm.
So if they came after her, she'd be gone in a minute. But
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
I
they do have those little hoofs hurt.
huh.
Yeah. It's not happened to me because I'm not, mean. Like it's like shoo. And they look at you, do the huff, maybe poo. Like here. here's here's what I think of you, you know. And then you go a
You're
little
not the boss
closer.
of me.
Yeah, yeah, but and you have to be careful because of fencing and all that. So it's been
Yeah.
fun over the life. But yeah, who knew we would get into wildlife? We
Oh,
do
well, we
each
did.
time. I love this 30 days, and it's such a good time to look at it as we look at, New Year's resolutions and everybody starts getting upset with themselves. Just some basics like this can propel things. You
Yeah.
can get as deep as you want with it as well as I would say write this down, right? Maybe have a
Yeah.
book, you know.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that I'll send to you is just maybe an outline of what people can write down around those 5
Mhm.
areas. So, what is it that, and really start thinking about where am I now and what is it that I want? And at the end of my life, like it's not enough just to have a directive. You have to go a little bit further than that. You have to actually know what it is that you want and then put it down and put it in writing so that people know, even to the point of if you were lying in bed and it was your last day, what is the music that you want to listen to?
Very important.
Really important. And what is it, like you might want to have pictures around you and you might want to have
Mm,
flowers around you. And if they're flowers, which are the ones that you want? And
mm,
I've had people say, well, they want to be kind of sitting up and looking out of their window. And I say, well, do you have a bed that can be elevated? And they say, no. Well,
mm.
then get the bed.
Or a
And
recliner.
you,
Yeah.
you want to have these 4 people around you. Is your room big enough to have everybody there? And like some of the real practical stuff. And if it's no, then pick another room that you can be in. Maybe it's the front room. You change the front room for a short period of time into the room that you're going to be in because it's got the best views and the best windows. So I want people to look at what are the things that are really practical. And those areas again are physical and emotional, mental, spiritual, and practical.
Mm. And you could put it in a book so that if, you need be, you have it there for someone to help you with,
Yeah.
you know. I know a lot of people who live alone, don't get into all that. And maybe if it's written down, it helps them. And then at the same time, I know people that are best friends that have like pinky promises to, hey, this is what's going to happen when, we go, that this is what I want. And it's a conversation that is revisited frequently so it doesn't go away. It's like, no, I don't cremate me. I don't want that. I want this,
Yeah.
and I don't want so and so at my funeral. Don't you dare. We've talked about those kinds of crazy things too. So
And some people are so uncomfortable. I know that when my mom was, I mean, this is before the dementia really got hold. And I said, Mom, let's have a conversation. And she got so panicky. And I think it's really important to get at this time to have comfortable conversations. And if someone
mm,
goes, oh, I don't want to talk about it, say, well, why? I'm not planning on leaving anytime soon, but isn't it better to have it now than when I'm really sick and I just want to be comforted? Like let's
mm,
have these conversations while they're easy.
mm. I like that. I like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
do it now. Don't wait.
Yeah.
And if you are at the 3 months or even the 1 month, it's still look at it. Still look
Yeah,
at it. Absolutely.
absolutely.
Absolutely. Everyone, souljourneydoula.com is the website to go. We'll be back next month. So you can contact Lee online through LinkedIn if you're going to do social media. Don't go to Facebook. She won't be there. Don't go a knocking.
At the end
Go
of
to,
the month, February
yes,
1st, I click off and I'm no longer on Facebook at all.
but you
Zuckerberg
are
can
on Blue
suck it.
Sky, right? You're on Blue Sky now.
I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on LinkedIn.
Yes.
There's a few others too that I haven't, my mind just went blank, but like Okay, so for those of, yeah. put it
LinkedIn
in
is
the
a good
same
one, and
super
so is
bird
and this
socket.
guy. Yep. Everyone, Lea Brovedani, just type that in, you'll find her. But thank you so much, Lee. Always a fun conversation. You never know. We always cover what we say we're going to do, but of course, we, that's what you just say. Put in the 3 months. Lee and Lisa, we like detours.
Yeah, we do. Thanks, Lisa.
Thanks. You take care.
You too. See you next month.